The blaze forced the resident to run from his home, and a next-door neighbour revealing he was hours before the fire broke out.
So before we go much further, was anyone injured? That's probably we need to
No,
clarify.
thankfully.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. It's Michael Furlong from Rent for Old Maximiser, and I'm really excited about having a chat with Fiona Dickson from Rent Assured over in New Zealand, across the ditch. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I've never been involved in a property where we've had a fire. So I've had smaller fires, but I was watching Facebook a couple of weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, and Fiona really graciously posted a photograph of a property that she's managing that was on fire and unfortunately it burnt to the ground. Why am I excited? Because the message behind all of this is around smoke detectors, particularly for real estate agents and of course tenants, but owners. Owners need to get smoke detectors and working smoke detectors. Fiona, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Or it's actually evening for me in New Zealand now.
Well, it is. It's a later start where it's a Monday afternoon. And Fiona, was it about 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago? When was the fire?
I think it was about 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So give us a little bit of background about where you are and tell me a bit about your agency and the fire. So tell me about your agency first, and then the fire itself. What actually happened?
Okay, so I started Rent Assured in Tokoroa, which is a little town in the middle of the North Island with about 13,000 people. I started the company 14 years ago, and at that stage our girls were a lot younger, and I was doing probably 6 part-time jobs.
Yes.
And we'd started investing in rental properties, so we kind of thought, what better way for me to try and maximize my time a bit more, and start my own company. So that's how we started doing Rent Assured. Became a home-based business, and that's how it's been ever since.
And you're at home now. You work from home, you were saying?
I am at home. I'm downstairs in my freezing cold office at the moment, but that's fine.
And look, a lot of property management companies start out that way. They start out because of convenience. We're looking for, particularly whilst children are little, we're looking
Definitely.
for a way to, I won't say have the 9 to 5 because it's not a 9 to 5, but to be able to manage the work in and around raising a family.
Definitely, and in Tokoroa it's a very small town, so to drive from one side of town to the other it takes about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, so, traffic lights?
Living the good life, it's easy.
Now we've got a little bit of an issue here with the internet, but we'll just keep going we'll just keep working through that. So sorry, were there traffic lights? I missed that.
Cool.
Were there any? Have you got traffic lights?
We don't even have traffic lights here. We've got it. No traffic lights. We just run straight. State Highway 1 runs the length of New Zealand, and so we're on State Highway 1. So we're just kind of easy to get around.
Love it. Now tell me a little bit about your agency, the properties that you what type of properties do you manage, and who are your typical clients? Who are your investor clients?
Okay, so my investor clients are normally mum and dad that are looking for, a nest egg for when they want to retire, which is why my husband and I started investing in properties too, so that we had some kind of nest egg. The government's not going to help us out when we get older, so our plan was to retire by the time we're 40. Anyway, here we are, a little bit past 40, still going, but that's okay. we can manage that. So yeah, typical of my investors, a majority of them are mum and dad investors. Yeah.
And are they New Zealanders as well, or do you have overseas investors?
I have overseas investors as well. So I've got a majority of mine in New Zealand, but I've got them listed in England, Australia. I've got some I don't even know where they are, and a majority of them I haven't even met. So I've been managing their properties for quite some time, and I've never even met them. I'm not sure if I'd be comfortable having somebody managing a rental property that I haven't met, but I mean, if they're happy that I'm doing a good job, then everything will run smoothly.
Do you use Zoom?
No, I don't use Zoom. Maybe this will be a this will be an introduction to Zoom for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
one of those things that, as part of my consulting, when I work with a lot of clients, I suggest that all property managers should have a camera on their, obviously in the laptops they do, but a camera on their desk, and just Zoom your clients. Spend a bit of time, just that face-to-face connection. It doesn't take too much, and the 10 minutes it takes you to write an email, you can do a 2-minute Zoom, and you'll get so much more out of that. But anyway,
Yeah, I can actually see the benefit of it.
so tell me a little bit about your agency. Is it a competitive market where you are? Or are there a couple of agencies in your town, or is it closed shop? It's just you, which would be perfect.
Definitely not just me. So in Tokoroa, we've got 2 other agencies. We have Harcourts and Property Brokers.
Yes.
Out of both of those, they both run a rental component out of that. And as far as doing it, like I obviously run one as a proper business. There's lots of people that do it just to kind of 5 or 10 rental properties, but as far as I'm aware, there's probably only 2 or 3 more like me that are running businesses like that.
Okay. And the fire. Talk to me about the fire. Oh, actually, sorry, the types of properties, they're houses mainly, not apartments?
Yes, they are houses. Yep,
Houses?
houses. And I've just started picking up flats again. When I
Yep.
first started back in 2006, there was quite a high turnover in flats or units, as you probably call them over there. And typically the kind of person that I'd get in a unit would be one that I wouldn't want to manage. So
Sure.
to save myself the hassle, which is why I started the business, I can now pick and choose what properties I want to look after.
Okay.
So I've just started taking on flats and units again as well. So typically houses and flats, I don't have any townhouses.
Okay.
Actually, we don't even have any townhouses in our town.
So the question that we're here to talk about today is smoke detectors. How many
Yes.
properties do you have, Fiona? How many do you manage? Right.
I think I manage about 108.
Okay. And of the 108, how many of those are currently in a program? I want to talk to you a little bit about the program with smoke detectors in New Zealand, and then I'll tell you what we're doing over here. But how many have regular compliance checks of the 108?
Okay, so out of the 108 properties, I can confirm that all 108 of them have compliant smoke alarms in them. Pardon?
How good's that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's a common sense thing. So in 2016, the law changed for New Zealand so that, like we used to have smoke alarms. So we are completely different to you. We have standalone smoke alarms.
Yes.
So you can twist them and pull them out because they're only run with a 9-volt battery.
Okay.
So of course, if mum and dad are cooking and the smoke alarm goes off, down comes a smoke alarm and out comes a battery. So I don't have anybody that goes around and checks them. I'm the one who does that every time I do 3 monthly inspections. If I go and check that smoke alarm in that 3 monthly period and it's not working, I have a very able husband that will go around and change those smoke alarms for me straight away that day. So yeah, we don't have any monitored that we get checked like you do in Australia.
Fiona, I'm having heart palpitations for you. I am. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I reckon if we had, I would have said exactly the same things. Bugger. So you're actually around there with the stick, are you?
Yeah, I'm the.
I don't know I don't know how tall you are, but I imagine you're not tall enough to put the finger in. So it's a stick?
It is a stick. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely a stick. I'm very short.
So for all the property managers that have been around probably 5 or so years longer here in Australia, well, actually not even that, I reckon probably 10 years, we would remember doing inspections with the stick and going in and popping it in, the siren goes off, and as a result, smoke detector apparently works. But we've learned that that's not necessarily the case. So there isn't a company over there that provides a smoke alarm compliance check for you?
There are companies over here, I believe, that do compliance checks, but I mean, all they're doing is you're paying someone to come in and push the button like I'm doing.
Okay.
That's all. So as far as I'm concerned, in between the 3 month period where I do inspections, But that was my biggest fear, that a fire would happen in a 3-month period and a tenant would take a smoke alarm down.
Yeah.
And these particular tenants were prolific at taking their smoke alarms down.
What, the one with the fire?
Yeah, the one with the fire.
All right. Okay, we'll get to that. So normally homes in New Zealand, and I've spoken over at conferences a couple of times in New Zealand, and look, I must say I won't say I'm surprised, but I'm enlightened every time I talk to New Zealand agents about what some of their building requirements are. I know just recently that insulation was something which was quite big, that you had to have all your homes insulated. I think that was something which we'd had many years ago. So you know, I think that's a bit of a shock to Australian agents that would.
Yeah, I can believe so.
Yeah. So with regards to the smoke alarms, do homes not required to have like brand new ones, not required to have hard built or hardwired smoke detectors?
Not according to the Residential Tenancies Act, no.
What about the building code?
I can't answer that.
Sure, that's okay. So over here, it has been for some time that now all new builds must be hardwired, and then they have the battery backup.